All right, guys, welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. I am your host, Dean Harris. As always, I'm with Douglas Skipworth. How are you, man?
Hey, great.
Good. We're bringing you the podcast today to give you the boots on the ground experience to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis. All of our information is below there, Dean at CrestCore.com if you have any questions. One thing I'm always adding in, I'm helping buyers and sellers every day with their investment properties, listing them, which is a very popular thing right now. Listings are the highest number of listings I've had in a good long while. I just got finished with a meeting with an investor on the buyer end. He came in from California. So if you guys have any questions on buying or selling, shoot me an email, Dean at CrestCore.com. Today's podcast, we're going to do a little market update.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about how to improve your offers.
Yeah. How to win deals
how to make it stand out. I had my Zoom call yesterday with our newer clients.
Okay.
And one of the topics was how, one of the questions they asked was how can I make my offer more appealing? How can I be the shiny object in the corner?
Yeah.
How can we stick out? So let's start off a little bit market update. I want to tell you that we started off the year record slow.
Business. That was, hey, that's in the past.
Yeah.
Rear view mirror, baby.
January and February were not hot. I think the shock of the rates were there.
Yes.
March, we were back to normal with 20, I think 7 closings, I believe it was.
Yeah,
and
30
then,
plus sides.
Yeah, April is going to be
30 plus sides.
30 plus sides again. So we're feeling great again. Like it was
high fives.
Yeah.
High cotton.
We weren't sure what was going to happen, but I do
right.
feel like now the dust has settled. People understand what the rate is going to be for a minute. And now we're navigating just through different waters on how to offer, what to offer, and what kind of condition it looks in. So from the market update standpoint, I feel like prices are staying steady. I looked on ChandlerReports.com earlier. We've got some basic information. I'm going to let you give some of that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I looked at MAR, Memphis Area Association of Realtors, Chandler Reports, both of whom provide great data on sales. Sales were flat.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked about this. There was a crash in sales volume as far as the number of transactions, down 25+%.
Yeah. So the crash that everyone's looking for, we've talked about this. It's not the pricing crash.
No, it's number of transactions.
It's a transaction crash.
So everything.
Agents suffer.
Agents suffer.
Unfortunately. I hate it. But there's a lot that are out there right now that they're struggling. Mortgage companies. There are dark days ahead, unfortunately, for the industry.
Right. But to your point, prices they haven't had massive increase. They've been steady, stable, flat, whatever you want to call it. So but there's still 50 plus transactions a day.
That should be the highlight for Memphis.
Yes.
We're averaging 50 plus transactions a day here.
A day. And we've talked about this forever. The window for opportunity is always open.
Always.
It's never closed. Mm-mm. Sometimes it's wide open. Sometimes it's a little more narrow, but it's always open. Yes. 24/7, open for business.
Right now, we're a little tighter.
We're a little tighter. It's not wide open, but there's opportunity. So
I told, and from a sales process standpoint, I think it's important to talk about this. This is stuff you and I usually talk about. But I had a good question yesterday on the Zoom call, and it made me think to share it. So what we're about to dive into is how to make your offer better, stand out. Yes. I want to talk a little bit about how I used to sell houses versus how we're selling them now. And this is very honest and very forthcoming. And a lot of people won't tell you this. For the last few years, since about 2017, the craze for investment properties is just bonkers, right?
Bonkers.
More than we've ever seen it. You've been in this double. You've been buying double the time I have been. But I don't believe you've ever seen any frenzy like we've seen like we saw from 17 to 22.
Okay. Yeah, that 5 years, right?
That 5 year stretch. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. And what we would do in the brokerage is I would get a house, and a lot of you guys are on this email list, and I would just throw a huge net out into the lake, right? Like or ocean or whatever. Huge net.
Yep.
And for the most part, someone would pick up that house, right? I could just sell houses and just get our numbers by just throwing that out there. Very little communication. Investors were just yes, snapping it up.
It was super competitive.
Super competitive. I felt comfortable because I never send out houses in war zones. I never send out houses in bad areas. No. So if someone snapped it up quickly, fine, because the area's pricing and location I was sitting in or sending them out in were great, right? Had no problem.
Yep.
Now that net is only bringing in about or a fraction of what it used to bring in, right? The fishermen are now starving.
Yeah.
So what we've had to do over the last few months is change the way that we're selling.
Change your approach.
Zoom calls, more communication with investors. Guys whatever. Are coming in town, and there's just different ways that we're selling them. So I want you guys to
not bad, just different.
It's just different. So I wouldn't feel if you're contacting me with questions and you weren't before, but it's a different way to sell and it's a different way to buy these properties. So I want you to encourage you to do that.
Yes.
Reach out and ask questions. If there's something that's not there that you're missing, let's talk about it. 3 years ago, you wouldn't have cared because the rate was 2.5, and if that forgives basically everything.
Yeah, and the price was going to increase 10% a year.
Yeah, you were safe.
It's flat.
Yeah, I could let the children go out and play in the playground, right?
Yes.
No one has to watch. We're just in. Now there's somebody about every 10 feet watching. It's just a different day. I want to make sure that I'm communicating and talking that we're not moving too fast. So that was a little bit about how we're selling. Now, part of how we're selling is, or how we're helping you buy is these offers.
Okay.
How can we stand out? Yeah. How can we be that shiny marble in the corner full of other marbles? So one of the first things that I am telling people now, if you do not have cash, if you do not want to spend your cash, use hard money.
Okay.
We've got a hard money sister company, Corlin.
Yeah.
Richie Ward and his team do a fantastic job. I've used Corlin 20 times over the years. So we have one of those here that we can help you with. We can present those offers as cash.
Yes.
The approval process has already been done. We've talked about how hard money lenders approve you. They're mainly working on the property and approving the property versus you as an individual. They can write this up. We'll make an offer as cash because there is no approval process and that sort of thing. There's an approval process, but not like a traditional
appraisal contingency. None of that. It's more
based on the actual.
It's more like
asset.
A cash purchase.
That's right. So I would encourage you to, if you need that connection, reach out to me on there. But Corlin can help with that. It's an expensive tool, but let me tell you something: is if it makes a difference in you getting the home and not getting the home, how expensive is it then?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like your conventional loan might not get accepted right now versus your cash deal. You rehab it quickly and move right back out of that.
Yes.
I love it. I've done it 20 times.
You date the rate, you marry the house. So this is a great example of hard money is a tool. Like you said, it's lightning fast.
Yes.
It's potential for no money down.
Yes.
So there's lots of advantages for it. Not to mention, you alluded to it, banks have tightened it up. They've tightened it up. They're a little scared right now. So hard money lenders are a great option. Corlin, as you mentioned, super busy. March 2023, their best month ever.
And
April is set up, to be the best month ever.
And there's reasons
right now
for that. The traditional banks have tightened up a little bit. I think you told me not only the best month, but you've had the best
quality, highest quality of borrower in houses
in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, again, they're 50 plus deals a day. So it's not like there's nothing happening in Memphis.
Yeah. And First Horizon and Regions aren't doing those loans.
They've paused. They're take a wait and see approach. Banks, we've talked about this, right? Banks will loan you an umbrella on a sunny day. Yeah. And as soon as the storm clouds run in, they pull that umbrella back. Say, hey, could you bring that umbrella back?
Yeah. Well, you need it now.
Yeah.
So I feel like they have some shrapnel, some scar tissue from 2008.
Oh, and don't you think that they just, with the two banks that failed, they got to be even more strict than they were before. So
and who knows if there's more coming? I mean, there could be some more of those.
We hope not. It doesn't look like it because of the way those two were structured. But you never know. You don't know what other. You don't know who's. What does Buffett say? You don't know who's swimming until the tide goes out. You don't know who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. Right. So as the tide moves out, all of a sudden you see who was swimming naked. So. Yes.
Such a great analogy.
He's so awesome.
No, he is awesome. We could go on
Yes,
him.
that's right.
I saw a clip on him about how to get rid of, the GDP.
Yeah.
So anyway, hire earnest money. Okay. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So earnest money, sometimes the question comes up of what is earnest money?
Yep.
When you make an offer, we write an offer with your name and all your terms, and there needs to be a good faith gesture, a financial one, that you're giving to the seller of, here is my commitment to buy this home. It could be a small one,
right?
But there has to be one. For Tennessee Real Estate Commission laws and just about every real estate law, there has to be a financial contribution called earnest money. It's a good faith gesture that you intend to close on the home.
A little bit like a security, you go to a hotel and you give them your credit card, they run it for $1, maybe they run it for $100, whatever, just
make sure it's open, make sure we're there. And that's why I kind of, in the show today, we talked about that level of that earnest money. You can legally submit $1.
Right. Yeah.
They just it has to be some type of.
I think you can put 0 in your earnest money. 0. You can do that for sure. You can
put 0.
You have to document what it is.
Yes.
Yes. You have to say 0 earnest money.
Yep. So,
or to your point,
$1 or 10 grand.
That's what I'm saying.
It's all the same. It's all, we can all
window
get
dressing.
that money back. It's just window dressing. That's right.
Yeah. And it's, again, like a security deposit, or whether it's whatever you're doing, you're going to get that money back if things if they go right or if they don't go right, whatever.
So if you're curious, that earnest money is just a financial commitment gesture from you stating that you intend to purchase the property. It can be big, small, 0 in this case, or whatever case. But that's what your earnest money is. You will get it back if you cancel within your inspection or loan contingency period.
Under the terms of the contract.
Under the terms of the contract. Yeah, that's probably safe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is something that a lot of people aren't thinking about. And it's really, if I'm being honest, sort of meaningless. Sort of.
It's eyewash. What would you call it? I mean, it's sizzle.
A little bit of makeup.
A makeup. Yeah. But I saw this the other day. There's a verse in scripture that says, man looks at the outside, God looks at the heart.
Yeah.
So what does that say? Man looks at the outside.
Yeah.
So things like that matter to men and women in our society. Like, hey, hire earnest money. Whoa, that sounds. That's what people look like. It sounds great, and it's refundable.
It's refundable. So from the buyer's end, if we were used to putting, let's say we're offering on a $150,000 house, usually $1,000, $1,500 would work for there. How about we throw 10 grand at them? Like, whoa.
That gets your attention.
If
that gets your attention.
I'm flipping a house right now. I just got an offer on it yesterday.
Yeah.
$1,500 in earnest money. It's a $275,000 house. I'm like,
okay. So they might or might not close.
Can we do a little more? I said, can we do a little more? Yeah, they're going to talk about it. If that person would have come in and had $10,000, and I know they're putting that down on their thing. They have 10 grand. If you're buying the house range, this price range, they have 10 grand. If they would have put down all the other same terms that they did and put $10,000 in the earnest money, I'd be like, wow.
Where do I sign?
They're going to buy this house.
That's right.
And it's a mental, what's the correct word for a podcast? It's a mental mess up. There really means no more than that $1,000. It just goes to show you that, hey, we're a level more serious than what the next guy is about buying this home. They can still get it back if the inspection fails or whatever.
Right.
But it does give me as a seller, like, wow, okay, 10 grand. Let's talk about that earnest money, see what that looks like per house and per deal. But I mean,
great idea.
I would think you think about it on your end, if you're selling something and it's a, $250,000 house, and they bring you $2 grand or 20.
Yeah. You want to be the most eligible bachelor at the ball. You know what I mean? Right. You want to come in there looking buff and lean and mean and tall, dark, and handsome. You want to be all that.
So the higher earnest money is a little bit of a facade, but it is a mind game and a mind trick that we'll play with the sellers, no matter what it looks like or doesn't. Let's go in with some higher earnest money. I'd even say $5 grand on anything at this point would be a good idea.
I love that. Would you recommend non-refundable earnest money?
No, not until we inspect it.
Good.
So if we inspect it.
So that's not what you're not saying.
No.
This money's at risk.
No, I'm actually saying it's the same money, or it's the same level of protection as if we put $500 down. Right. It doesn't matter. I had a guy one time, he was making cash offers.
Okay.
Well over 100, wealthy guy, well over 100. He made his earnest money the sales price. He got every deal.
Why not?
If
you're paying cash and you got it, like, go ahead and send it to the closing agent. If it works out, it's there. If not, they send it back.
When I tell you he got every deal, every one he offered on, he got. Now, he was relatively competitive with his price. He wasn't trying to get 50 cents on the dollar. Every single deal he got that he offered on. I'm just here to tell you. I don't suggest that for everybody, unless you can.
Yeah.
But that is the earnest money.
It's a great strategy.
Will pop and will show up and we'll give you that. Shorter contingencies. So here's you just asked me a good question about waiving inspection contingencies. I never do it unless we can see it. Unless it's such a great deal that you can weather any storm, right? What's the worst? If you buy a home, what's the worst thing that can happen if you get if you waive the inspection? What's the worst? The foundation, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, in the bell curve, generally nothing. I mean, maybe a roof, maybe a water heater, maybe HVAC, maybe foundation, maybe some electrical, maybe some plumbing, maybe it was burned. Maybe. I mean, these are all, but the risk, like, it's on the tails, on stuff like that of like big foundation and.
So if you can go in and look at the foundation and know that it's at least intact and you're not sliding down a mountain, and you can see some of the roof and see, like, I have personally waived some inspection contingencies and I just walk through it, and I'm not a GC. And
Same.
I've done that as well.
Sure.
So it just depends on your level of comfort with your money being exposed, right?
Yes.
So, like, a lot of times foundations for 15 grand can pretty much be fixed and patched up, and there's a lifetime warranty with it, right? 20 grand maybe. I think if you spend 20 grand on a foundation, it better be a big house. I'm talking about the houses we're buying.
Yeah.
Under 200 grand,
2,000,
1,800 square feet max. Like,
yes.
You're looking at 20 grand probably for some basic foundation issue. Now, every scenario can be different, but so I look at that going, hey, if the price is right, if the ARV is 200, and this, I'll just keep with this scenario, and they're going to give me the house for 60 grand, 75 grand, I don't particularly care what's wrong with it, right? Yeah. Is it standing?
Yeah.
Is it
something's wrong with it?
There's definitely a bunch wrong with it, right? Like, we've got 50 to 60K in rehab, or otherwise they wouldn't be selling it for that. So factor some of that stuff in as you're thinking, like, let's be logical about this. Like, if there's a great deal on the table, let's go buy the home. Forget the inspections and forget whatever comes with it. Great area, great. So otherwise I don't suggest waiving those.
And sometimes it's possible to do an inspection before an offer.
Most of the time, wholesalers will require it. They will require us to go inspect the home, because wholesalers are not in the business of locking their deals up for 2 and 3 weeks at a time while we're trying to figure that out. If you guys know how a wholesaler works, they go directly to the seller, usually have 30 days to close. That includes all inspections. What most wholesalers will do will set up a day that you can come and inspect it most of the time. Unless the guy calls me directly and says, hey, I want to work with you and one of your clients, which we get that a lot.
Okay.
If it's just a wholesaler that is mass emailing out houses, he will set up an opportunity for us to go in there and then take the highest non-contingent offer. So we'll have a little time.
Gotcha.
Right. If you'll have to spend the $200 or so with a rehab inspector to get it done, but you will not have to submit earnest money. You won't have to do anything at that point. You just inspect it. Now, once you inspect that home and you do submit the earnest money, that earnest money is now non-refundable.
Okay.
You're going to close on there and you're going to lose that usually $2,500.
Yeah. But because you're doing a cash offer, which we talked about earlier, you're not having to put in a financing contingency.
Nope.
You're not having to put an appraisal contingency.
Nope.
So really, it's an inspection contingency is all you're primarily talking about. So it's how can you shorten that appraisal, that inspection contingency?
Yeah, and if it's a vacant home and the seller's not asking for an inspection contingent, they're not asking for you to waive that. How about we waive it? we're talking about how to make our offer more appealing.
Yes.
And more, if the seller is not asking for you to waive the inspection contingency, they're willing to lock it up and give you 3 or 5 days to inspect it. Let's go beat them to the punch. Let's go get into that home and let's go inspect it. And then we'll submit an offer with no contingencies. There's how to separate yourself from somebody else. Like if everyone has to wait and we all have to submit non-contingent offers, fine. There's no real difference than me and the next guy. We're all going to be on the same timeline. We can all go look at it at the same time.
Yeah.
If the seller is not requiring it, then let's go against the grain and let's go ahead and get that inspected and submit an offer that's non-contingent. Now we're standing out above.
Yeah, it's like you're on the playground, you're picking teams, and you're like, little man, giant, little. I'll take the giant.
That's exactly right.
With my first pick.
So on top of your $5,000 earnest money, on top of I just waived the contingencies because it's a vacant home and they didn't require it. Now we're probably sitting in first place unless we're just way low.
Right.
Unless we're just way low. If we're a few $1,000s, give or take, as a seller, I'll take $3,000 less from a guy that's non-contingent
for sure
all day long.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I believe from the inspection contingency standpoint that we can work on. If you're getting a loan, you're going to have no choice but to have an appraisal contingency.
Right.
They're going to want to see you have an inspection contingency on it as well. They're going to want to know that you inspected the property.
The bank will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit different scenario there. If we're in the 150 and above range, that scenario can be more successful.
Right.
You're usually going to be buying at this point an owner occupied home. They're going to have a little more patience. So in that higher price range, we'll be dealing with more loans and more traditional circumstances. Below there, we need to get tricky. We need to offer that earnest money, try to waive the contingency inspection when we can. So there's one way. Shorter contingencies, that's what we're kind of talking about. Like if you can talk to your lender, here's the biggest thing these days. Shopping a lender that can be quick can be way more valuable than a 0.5% in the interest rate.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
So if you can talk with a lender that can close in 21 days and you can now present offers with 21-day closings versus 35, that's 2 more weeks.
So quicker closings?
Quicker closings, if you can find that lender, I think would be a huge advantage over someone else.
So 21 day, typically 14, 21, 30.
30
45.
is standard. If you can get a convention, like a bank can do probably a 14-day loan.
Yeah, hard money.
Yeah, hard money can definitely, maybe even quicker, 7 days, right? If the deal's right.
The quickest I've ever seen, they had to pay for it and they had to jump through a lot of hoops. Half a day. They presented a deal in the morning and the hard money lender, core lender in this case, funded it that afternoon.
Okay, that's priceless.
They
probably paid a premium.
They had to pay a premium because everybody had to stop what they were doing. Loan committee had to meet. Everybody had to do everything, but the deal got done. So to your point, you can get it done quick.
Yeah. There's ways to get it done. When yes, anything that's quicker and faster is more expensive. Just period. Anything you can name.
Sure.
Anything,
yes.
Right?
Yes. You're paying for the convenience of the time, but that's okay.
That's exactly right. So quicker close, it always will help. And so these are just some ways that are very basic, and you might have already known about all of this. But I think for the clients that I spoke with yesterday on the phone, we had about 12 to 13 on the call yesterday. I believe it was very helpful for them. That's where the questions were based from. So I thought today might be a good thing to talk about. So these are just ways that you can get a better offer, quicker, more appealing. I think the highlight might be the earnest money. That might be the flashiest thing that we talk about today is you putting down, a substantial amount of money, 5, 10, whatever you want to put down as earnest money. You get it back if we cancel, right? Inside of our inspection contingency period or loan contingency period, if it cancels, you're going to get that money back. It's just kind of a big flashy thing in the corner to get some attention, right? The substance is the same. That's right. You're flexing in the corner.
Yeah.
Right? The bodybuilder's over there. He took his shirt off. That's all you're doing, right? He's in the corner.
That's right.
So if you're submitting the 5,000 in earnest money or 10,000 in earnest money, all you're doing is pulling off the Iron Man flex in the corner. You're ripping your shirt off like Hogan does, and you're just saying, I'm here. That's what that is. And in a lot of cases, I bet that works.
For sure.
I'd love to see some of you guys this week
add
that on.
I totally believe
because the first thing I'm going to do when I present that offer for you, the first thing I'm going to say is, hey, we're right here at this price and the earnest money is X. They're serious about this out. Yeah. So I think today's takeaway, that one might be the biggest of the 4 or 5 here that we talked about as far as flash.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Giving you some attention. So if you have any questions, Dean at CrestCore.com. Anything else to add today?
No, man. No. You're right on.
Good.
Spot on.
Zoom call tomorrow, every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:00 Central Time. If you need that, if you need the Zoom link, send me an email, Dean at CrestCore.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You're good?
Good.
All right, guys. See you guys next time. Thank you.